A few nights ago, for the first time in 2 years, that old first year of Trump fear in the pit of my stomach came back. Everything is repeating like 2016. The GOP will always cheat. They are a party of literal criminals. They don't care to break any rules, while we have such a purity culture that the trolley car problem answer is literally to walk away and do nothing, even in the face of potential harm reduction. What brought this about? Well, dealing with leftists for one. Dealing with the complex nuances of the rape accusation of Biden, which my personal opinion is there is about a 40% chance he did it versus 60% chance he didn't, just from my own understanding of how evidence works, but that makes me the enemy for the people who can't deal with harm mitigation. Also, we already have a multiple serial rapist in the White House, so, we'll be getting kind of the same thing if worse comes to worse. People I know well are being sucked back into the same trenches, and we're fighting and having the same angry fights we had back in 2016 about basic facts. Bernie would have won, but her emails. Liberals are scum. Representative democracy is a farce and doesn't represent me. Voter suppression is why young people didn't vote for Bernie, and therefore it's all a big conspiracy against Bernie because the DNC establishment that has Illuminati-level power, but was so weak and inept thanks to Citizens United it had to be saved single-handedly by Hillary. And the DNC picked Biden even though they never came out for anyone, only not Bernie, who wasn't going to win with just a plurality or a plurality combo with Warren. He had to get a majority. The evil establishment is just old voters. But no, they're the powerful people who control everything and cheated Bernie out of the thing he was entitled to, even though his turnouts were sadly incredibly tepid and worse than they were when competing against Hillary. There are even rumors and beliefs that if Biden gets taken down by this scandal, that Bernie will win the nomination because they once again never bothered to study the party rules, and that will not happen at all. Even if Biden and every single candidate who ran with delegates had to step aside due to scandal, Bernie still wouldn't win. Their delegates would just be unmoored, and they've almost certainly all picked Never Bernie people, and they could pick a new nominee, even someone who didn't run, like they did back in the old days. But what really scared me is just how deep Russia's roots are into the American mind. Not just the MAGA hatters, not just the leftists, but the black community. Trump has been on a propaganda offensive with the black community, spending millions on trying to convince them he's a good choice, or at least just as good. And his approval has ticked up among them, even if just slightly. However, I recently found that the Internet Research Agency has a second branch, not in St. Petersburg, but in Ghana, and Africans there are getting paid to pretend to be African Americans and deflect anything white people say as being privileged, and appear that since they are both blacks, they know what's up, and we've already seen their impact. The strong belief in the African American community that melanin protects black people from COVID-19. And because they believe this misinformation, they signed a death sentence for their older loved ones, who are the most vulnerable of anyone in the nation, thanks to years of systemic poverty and racism. Black Twitter got flooded with anti-Elizabeth Warren videos early on, posting videos of things she said, but completely out of context, and it just killed her chances with the black community. She was done. I had no idea it went this deep. She didn't have a chance. And now it's happening more and more. The left are back to their trench warfare, steeped in absolutes and misinformation and purity culture just like they were in 2016. MAGA people are still being duped by misinformation, and now the black community is targeted. In Trump's first year, we were hopeless, mourning, knowing that horrible things were coming, but we had no power to do anything about it other than resist. The second year, we worked our asses off to resist, all working together, and we regained the House and a few Senate seats, but it was still not enough, and Trump appointed more judges than anyone else has ever done, and was told he could do anything illegal he wanted to after the impeachment trial, and here, have a blank check to do more illegal things. He started a stupid trade war that pointlessly hurt a lot of American industries, and then he bungled the COVID-19 problems, and is needlessly killing 1,000 people a day through misinformation and BS, only really caring about his ratings. After the 2018 election, we were feeling pretty good about ourselves. As time progressed, we thought there was no way Trump could ever win another 4 years. We just had to wait this out, and he would do so much damage like Bush did with Katrina that no matter who we ran, he would lose. Both sideism, false equivalency, and so forth are back on the menu. We have just as much chance of Trump winning this time around as last time, and those odds are frightening. In 2016, it was a foregone conclusion that Hillary had already won, and that complacency led to his winning. We need to make it a foregone conclusion that Trump has already won another 4 years, something our democracy and our planet cannot survive. So to win, we have to do what we did in 2018. Focus on damage control. With Hillary as the central focus on the election, people hated her so badly that it hurt the down-ballot races, and not only did Trump win the presidency, he also had the House and the Senate. If we want Trump out, we must assume he has already won and focus on how we made 2018 work. Focus only on down-ballot races. If we follow this strategy, we can have a trickle-up effect to energize people. If we just focus on Biden, he may have a negative trickle-down effect. So what am I going to do? Am I actively going to help Joe Biden win? Nope, I'm going to assume Trump has already won and shore up the House and the Senate so Pelosi can block him from hurting more people than he already has. Since the primary won't happen till June 2nd in my state, thanks to the virus, I'm going to hit the ground running, getting myself mentally psyched to phone bank for Pennsylvania's 1st and 10th districts, which are both swing districts, and maybe even phone bank for some of the down ticket representatives or state offices in swing states or states with a Senate race. Arizona, Maine, Colorado, and North Carolina are all toss-up states for the Senate. There are 6 toss-up states for the president, those being Arizona, Florida, Michigan, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. We have to win 3 to win the presidency. I've written off Wisconsin and Florida as lost because of all the blatant voter suppression, and would have written off Pennsylvania because they had a voting machine system with no paper backups, but that's since changed and almost all machines have paper backups now, so we can have a recount unlike last time, and vote by mail is now available to anyone. But there's a better chance of winning this state now, but the propaganda is going to work its ass off to swing it to Trump. Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina are our best states to target. So targeting Arizona and North Carolina are places I may help phone bank there too, since they also have a swing Senate race we have to win. Basically, I wrote this out because I was feeling hopeless. I couldn't fall asleep. And then I gave up on hope and focused instead on our 2018 strategy when winning the presidency was hopeless. Assume Trump is going to win and work your asses off like you will work in 2022 if he gets another 4 years, but do it this year instead so that doesn't happen. Don't take anything about this race for granted. The rules don't apply to them, but they all apply to us, crippling us. Focus on down ticket, assume Trump has already won, and maybe, just like how we assumed Hillary would win, Trump will lose in November. And we don't have another 4 years of fascism, and our concentration camps will be closed and no longer normalized. Environmental protections will roll forward, too slow but still not backwards, so we have some hope, and a president who will actually listen to the scientists, so we never have to go through tens of thousands of pointless deaths, and an economy killing lockdown like this again in our lifetime. Just like how we stopped SARS, MERS, swine flu, and Ebola, all 4 way more deadly and in some cases just as, if not more contagious than COVID-19. But because we listened to scientists and followed the rules, we barely remember them. Assume Trump has already won. Join the resistance. Repeat 2018 playbook, and we've won. Assume Trump has won. Only focus on the presidential race, which is essentially just a pro wrestling show, and we've lost the planet and democracy to fascism. Plain and simple, do it now, because the world can't take another 4 years of fascism in the US. This channel is helped tremendously by the generous supporters on Patreon. A big thank you to the wonderful Joe Taylor, Elias Garcia Guevara, and Ogrel for their support at the $10 a month Wapawet level. Please consider donating to my work if you can, and thank you all for listening.